raise your hand if you have difficulty asking for customer testimonials. If you could see me right now through your earbuds or your earphones, you would see my hand is way up high over my head, waving in the air saying, me, me, me. I have the hardest time with this, yet I know it is so important for my business, which is why I am super excited that my friend Licia Morelli is here with us today. She's going to teach us why it's important to get testimonials, how to get them, and how to get the testimonials that really count. Oh my gosh, this interview is bomb. So many great nuggets. I can't wait for you to hear it. Episode 243 starts right now. Hey there, welcome to the Laura Shipman Show. We hang out here weekly to talk about things like social media, entrepreneurship, marketing, tools, strategies, tips, and it all starts right now. Hey there, before we get started with this show, I just want to share my passion with you. I love teaching people just like you how to master social media for business, breaking it down into easy to consume and easy to execute steps so that you can see immediate results. So whether you want to start a social media consultancy or grow your brand's presence on social media, I can help. I can help you get started and master all the things that you need to know. So I want you to go over to my website. It is filled with resources, tools, tips, and courses. Visit laurashipman.com. That's LORA Shipman.com to get all the goods. Now, you ready for the show? I know I am. Let's get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. I'm so excited you are here with me today because I have Licia Morelli with me, and we're talking all about testimonials and testimonials that actually open up wallets, and she calls them magic testimonials and how to actually get them. Licia, welcome to the show. I am so excited you're here.
Oh, thank you, Laura. I am so excited to be here. I am just thrilled just to be talking to you. It's always such a pleasure.
Oh, I'm so excited. This is going to be good. We were talking a little bit before the show started about some juicy stuff about testimonials, and I kind of came clean on some issues that I have with them. But before we get into that part of the interview, I would just love to hear from you, like what you do, and let the audience know how you help people, where your magic spot is, and all of this stuff.
Yeah. So I have been working in the online marketing industry for 15 years. I got my start as a joke writer on Twitter, which I did not make any money doing. However, I was published in my first book from that episode. But I realized at that point that attention is grabbed through headlines and subject lines, and generally you can get people's attention writing words on the internet. And so that led me to becoming a copywriter, and I'm actually a copywriter that helps businesses scale through sales and copywriting. So I work with high-level entrepreneurs with online businesses to help them take their company from where they're at to where they're going. And all of that's through sales and copywriting and strategy.
That's amazing. A joke writer? I think that's phenomenal. That's like, are these your original jokes that you were writing on Twitter?
Yes, I somehow got to be a part of this group of writers on Twitter in 2008, where a friend of mine was doing it, and he was like, "You got to join," because that was before Twitter was Twitter. Mm-hmm. I had 600 followers on Twitter, and I felt like I had made it. So what happened was we would write jokes. And all day I would just get on and write a joke, my own original versions, like, whether or not they pertain to the news or like something that was going on in my life. And then whenever we got a star, or if somebody liked it, there was a gentleman who had created this thing called Favored, and it would send all of the liked tweets to this leaderboard. And so you would see if you got favored, and the leaderboard would show like, oh my gosh, you have 20 likes, you are on the leaderboard. And that was like, I thought it was so amazing. And that was like my entree into copywriting. And then my mom would always say, like, too bad you can't make money on the internet. Like, you're on there all day writing stuff.
Oh my gosh.
That's really how I got my start.
That's a fun story. I love that. That's great. So we were talking before we hopped on here, and I admitted that I am the absolute worst about getting testimonials. And I feel I feel shy about it. I feel like, oh, is it too forward of me to ask for a testimonial? Like, is that a normal place to be? Like, do a lot of people suffer from that?
Yes, yes. So, Laura, you are among many. I too am terrified of asking for testimonials, and I also talk about them. So, even when you do become totally pro at asking for them all the time, and it becomes a part of your rhythm in your business, it's still intimidating. And the reason why it's intimidating for people is because it feels very strange to ask for feedback for a testimonial. Like, it feels like, are we intruding? Or, our clients are very busy. Do we really, do we want to bother them with this? But what I like to tell people is there's two things to think about as you're wrapping up with a client or after somebody has brought a product of yours. And it's this: to close the loop of that customer relationship, asking for a testimonial is actually a great way to tie a bow around the experience, not only for you, but for your customer as well. And the example I like to give is, let's say you have a great haircut and you're like, I love my stylist. And every time you go, you feel amazing. And then somebody says to you, who cut your hair? I really like your haircut. Anytime I would move to a new town, I would always ask people, where did you get your haircut? So I know. And they would never hesitate. Oh my gosh, this lady, this guy, wherever, over here. And they would tell me. And so I relate that to asking for a testimonial from your clients, because you've had a great working relationship together and they have told you in so much as emails or verbally when you're meeting how much they're enjoying working with you. Then it's safe to ask for a testimonial because they're already giving you one. And a lot of times what I tell people is, when somebody emails you and says, gosh, this has been so helpful, or, oh, this has opened so many ideas for me, that's the opportunity to then ask for a testimonial because they have opened the door for you. And then also at the end of the relationship, like we're wrapping up, this is why I always tell people, send a wrap-up email like, hey, we're done working together. This has been amazing. Do you mind giving me a testimonial? I would love, to showcase you and your words. I would also love to hear what's working so I can do more of it. And when we frame it in that, it starts to become more of a conversation rather than this epic event.
I love how you say that, an epic event, because that's how I feel. Like, I'm like, gosh, if I ask for the testimonial, if I don't get it, and like, there's all this anxiety for me anyways, wrapped around testimonials. And I don't know why that is, because I've never actually been in a bad situation. I think it's just my personality, and I don't know, but okay. I like how you do that. So do you have like some like framework or something you can tell us to actually how to ask for it and what goes into it and what that looks like?
Yes. So what I want to start this with is, just so everybody knows how important it is to get your testimonials, 72% of people will not take action until after they have read a review or a testimonial. That's a lot of customers reading testimonials. I always joke because I'm the worst at reading testimonials. I'm always like, I'll buy it. I think it sounds great. My husband, however, will pore over reviews. He'll pore over testimonials. He will read every single word just to make sure. And so what I try to tell people is, we might be, if you're not a testimonial reader, do not assume that the rest of the world is not. In fact, more often than not, they are, right? So what I tell people is, because testimonials are so important, people do know that testimonials are needed, especially in business. We know that we read reviews. We know that we read testimonials. Like, people do this, and it's part of doing business, right? I mean, we know Amazon has reviews.
Yeah.
We know sales pages have reviews. So what I tell people is, the very first thing you want to ask for is, what worked well that's tangible? What's a measurable outcome that this person had with your product or service? And this does not have to mean, Laura, that people have to tell you like, I made $8 million when I applied. Like, no, actually it's better if it's a regular number. Like, oh, I increased my sales by 30%, or, oh, I made $5,000 when I launched my product. Like, that's great. People, we don't need the $8 million numbers. We just need to see that results occurred and that there was a measurable outcome.
Well, and it makes it more realistic too when you have those real numbers, because then it's not somebody padding or fluffing up the testimonial more than it needs to be. And I think people relate to that better too, because you can almost picture that in your own business happening when it's a realistic number like that.
Exactly. You can see yourself within that testimonial. So then it's more relatable to say like, okay, if that person can do it, then I can do it. You know, I don't have a list that's 300,000 strong. Like,
Yeah.
I have a list that's not that. So how can I make this work for me? And we can put ourselves in their shoes. And then the second thing you want to make sure you're asking is, how was their customer experience? So a lot of times people leave this out of testimonials. And customer experience actually is a huge component of whether or not somebody decides to buy your product or use your service. And the reason is because people want to know that they were seen, heard, and understood, that their needs are going to get met. I think a lot of times in business, people focus too often on the outward facing promotion. So the sales pages, the sales emails, the sales coming in. But once the customer is in, as we know, it's cheaper to keep a customer than it is to get a new one. So once the sales come in, how is their customer service experience? People reading reviews choose customer experience over price 7 out of 10 times.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So what happens is if they see that they're going to have a good customer experience, they're going to be more likely to buy, because not only do they see the result, they see the experience that they're going to have working with you or using your product. If you have a bunch of reviews that say the customer service is terrible, the product is amazing, but the customer service is terrible, that's going to make somebody kind of look for something else. So that's the like second component to that, is that customer service experience, as well as the tangible result. And then I love the final piece, which is, what would you tell a friend about working with this person or using this product, right? There's nothing better than our friends cheerleading for the things we bring into the world. And here's why. They talk about it in a very natural way. Like, oh my gosh, I would totally recommend this because Laura totally attended to every one of my needs and I felt like $1 million afterwards, right? So it's like you have the tangible, measurable. I made $5,000 on my launch. You have the customer service experience, like my needs were attended to, my questions were answered, I was responded to in a timely way. And then there's the fun, like, this is better than sliced bread type of comment that they might make, which makes it feel familiar. It makes it feel friendly. And it doesn't make it feel like this was just some made up testimonial that you put on your sales page. And people are like, is this even for real? Or did a robot do this? You know?
Sometimes when I go to sales pages and things like that, and I see testimonials and I see like a little headshot and I'm like, like sometimes it doesn't feel genuine, right? I don't know. So I always wonder about that a little bit.
Yeah. I think you can always tell when somebody got a whole experience testimonial. You know, sometimes that's why people love the social proof testimonials. You know, if somebody takes a screenshot of a comment on a post or takes a screenshot of a story on Instagram, we love those because somebody wasn't like forced to do that. You know, there was no like cleaning up, which is also not okay, everybody. You can't clean up a testimonial, which we can get into later. But what I will say is the great part about it and having that question is like, if you were to tell a friend about your experience, what would you say? You get really fun answers because people do think about telling their best friend and they think, okay, I'm going to say it like this. And then it's super fun.
That is cool. So how do you make sure when you're asking for a testimonial that you get those 3 needs met that you told us about? Like without, I don't know, do you prompt somebody to answer? Like, is there a way to do it?
Yeah. So I created a testimonial template for people to actually be able to send the prompts. And what I do is I tell people, create the bullets and tell them they can write their answers under the bullets. So it'd be like prompt number 1, what was your tangible result that you worked like, and then I'd give them examples like X number of sales or X number of products sold or X number of service spots filled, right? Like what were your, or X number of, like free call signups, right? And so you would give them examples, but you would ask the first bullet would say, you know, what was your tangible result? And then the second bullet would be, what was the customer service experience like? And then you'd give them examples. And then the third one would be, what would you tell a friend? And so they have it in an email. So all they have to do is go to that email, type up their answers underneath, and then you can put all the sentences together and have them approve it. That's okay. You're not changing what they said. So I want to be really clear. Somebody sends you these, you're not going to go in and then like change what they said. You're just going to put it together for them and then have them approve it. So they've already given you the testimonial, but I think the hardest part for people giving testimonials and why it becomes such a delayed process is they don't know where to start.
Yes.
So these bullet points give them a starting place, and then either they write the testimonial just from those bullet points, or you put together the sentences, they read through it, make their changes as they want it to say, and then they give it back to you.
Yeah, I do. When somebody asks me for a testimonial, I do go into panic mode because I'm like, oh, okay, like what do I say? And where do they want me to go with this? And what are they looking for? That kind of thing. And I love this template that you talk about because it just makes it super, super easy. And it's kind of like a no-fail system.
Yeah. And I think the big rule that I like to tell people is, the Federal Trade Commission does not approve of testimonials, one, that are made up, two, that are altered. So if somebody sends you a testimonial and they say all these great things and then they have one negative thing, you can't omit the negative thing from that testimonial. Like if they've approved a testimonial and it includes a negative thing, that's okay. It actually won't hurt you. It actually will help because people will be like, oh, okay, so they experienced this. Maybe this person's fixed that since then. But you can't actually omit it and only pick the good
things. Yeah. Okay. That's good. I really like that. So that's one of the things you're giving to our audience today, isn't it?
Yes. Yep.
So amazing. So in the show notes for those that are listening, I will put in there the link to this testimonial template, and it's going to like change people's testimonials for sure. Oh my gosh.
I get compliments on the testimonials on my website. People are always like, wait a minute, your testimonials are like outrageous. And it's because I use this template. It just gives people a starting point, and then you really find that helps people really give you a lot more. And if somebody writes to you and they say, oh, I loved this, this, and this, you can also use those. You can say, if it's easier for you and you don't want to go through the whole template process, you will then know from the template what to be looking for in a testimonial. So when it comes into your inbox as like just something they offer, you'll know to ask in that moment, do you mind if I use this as a testimonial? It's really great. And people will say yes, because they want to help.
I love that. That's a really great idea. So I have a question so let's say you've got existing customers and clients and they've been with you for a good amount of time, like even 5 years, and you've never asked them for a testimonial. Is there a bad time to ask for a testimonial with someone who's been with you for a while? Or like, when do you ask if the relationship has been there,
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Laura. And there's never a bad time. In fact, I love that if you've had a customer for 5 years and you have yet to ask them for a testimonial, this is amazing, Laura, because you have longevity.
Okay.
You can ask them, like, we've had a relationship for 5 years. Like, do you mind also putting that in your testimonial? Like, you can even add a bullet point to the template that says, how long have we worked together? I mean, you could be like, I know we've worked together 5 years, but I just need you to write it down. And that will prompt them as well. So that's going to show your future customers, okay, so people work with Laura for a long time. They are very loyal to her, right? And it's actually better that you don't have you haven't had asked for a testimonial with this customer this customer, because now you have a longevity testimonial that you can use, and people will read that and be like, wow, that's amazing. So it's actually good you waited.
That's okay. That's good. Cause I have several customers like that, and longevity. I love that about my customers is they tend to stay with me, or my clients stay with me. But then I felt, well, oh my gosh, is it awkward now that I'm like taking, 5 years into our relationship that I ask for a testimonial? But the way you just put it, no.
No. And they'll probably be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize. Like, yes, of course, it doesn't change the relationship And I always go back to people love to talk about things they love. People love to cheerlead the things they can get behind. And when we are in service or product-based businesses, when people love something, they will want to talk about it. And they just need the prompt to be reminded to talk about it.
So I have another question, like I guess it's an etiquette question about testimonials. So let's say you got some testimonials. So I have some testimonials that maybe I collected, I don't know, a year or two ago, and I was going to use, and I used them for a specific launch that I was doing. But I haven't used them since. Is it still, like, I guess, a good thing to do to use them in the future, even though maybe they're a couple years old? Do you have to ask for permission again to use them? Like, what is the etiquette surrounding that?
So once you have permission to use a testimonial, that's a testimonial that you can use ongoing. So whether it's 1 year old or 5 years old, you can use it ongoing. And if somebody wants to update their testimonial, they can certainly do that as well. So it may be that, you know, you reach out after a few years and just say, is there anything you wanted to update on this? This is what I have. You can always ask that, but they've already given you permission so you can use it. And it's up to them to email you and say, like, I'd rather you not use my testimonial anymore. Right. So to that end, one thing I will say is if you have a product that you specifically got the testimonials for, you need to use the testimonials for that product. Right. Or you need to name the product. If you're using it in a different capacity, you need to name the product specifically that the testimonials are for. So for instance, if you have something that you use testimonials on one sales page for, you can't use those same testimonials to be a testimonial for a different product. What you can do is you can have a personality testimonial where it's like, Laura is amazing. She is the best to work with. Like, and it can be kind of a generic testimonial that you can use on a sales page. Or what I've seen other clients do, which I think is genius, is if they have a new product, they'll say these testimonials were for a previous product that I launched, but I would like you to have a character study of who I am in the world and how I work with people. So this is testimonials for this product, but I wanted you to read them anyway. And that also helps people kind of get an idea. But you can't, like, testimonials have to be specific to the product or generic to your person.
Okay, that makes total sense. That was really good. So there's somebody I know who's a friend of mine, and she actually makes it seem effortless and easy to do testimonials. And I think what I love about it, and I think this is what your testimonial template's going to do, is she just makes it so easy for me to write a testimonial. And she does exactly what you said, like, and then she links everything together that I wrote. And then what she did is she's an author, right? So she bounced back to me actually yesterday. And she said, hey, would you mind using this testimonial that you wrote 6 months ago and doing now a review on Amazon and Goodreads, I think were the two places. And she actually provided the links for me and my original testimonial. So I didn't have to go back and think about it again, which was just amazing to me. Like, it just makes it so easy.
It does. The easier we can make something for somebody, the faster they're going to get it done for us. I think if we can set it up so it's an easy yes, they will just be like, of course, yes, this is great. And so what I always tell people is when you're sending the question for the testimonial, like your friend did, just give them everything they need. You know, tell them exactly what they need to do in order to get this done. You can also say this will take you 3 minutes because I'll do the rest, you know, like, because I think too, like testimonials, we're like, oh, that'll take like 20 minutes. I got to think of what to say. I got to figure out what my results were. If you know, so here's another thing, hot tip, everybody. If you know your customer's results, like for me as a copywriter, if I know the customer had X amount of sales from the copy that I wrote for them, or I know their sales page is converting at a gangbusters rate, I can include those statistics in my testimonial ask so that they can just pull them as part of their answer. Like, I know that your sales page is converting at X. I know that you've made X amount of sales. They're like, great. And then they just pull those stats. And again, that's just making it easier for them to get through the testimonial process.
That is such a great tip. It really is, because then you're on top of your numbers anyways, you know.
Well, there's that too. Yeah. I think we forget to ask, like, what were the results? You know, it's sort of like it goes out into the abyss and then we never follow up.
And I love that you say, tell people this will take you 3 minutes to complete, because I think too, when you hear that word testimonial come flying across your email or however you're getting it, I think, especially if you're not a writer, you might go into panic mode thinking, oh God, I don't have time to write a testimonial, when in fact, it doesn't have to be that long.
Exactly. It doesn't actually have to be that long. It can hit the finer points very, very quickly. One-liner testimonials, as long as it's a strong, if you hit the result, the customer service, and the friend praise in one line, that's a killer testimonial right there. And it's really short to read. So people will be stoked.
Well, yeah, that's a good point too. From the consumer point of view, the person who's actually reading the testimonials, sometimes I see these long walls of words and I'm just like, I can't. But if you get a couple of one-liners in there that really sums it up well, as a consumer of the testimonials, I appreciate that. My husband is a lot like your husband, where he'll read every single word too. And it's almost analysis paralysis. And I'm like, but me, I'm not like that. I like the shorter snippets of information.
Yeah, because I think too, you're right. The fine-tooth comb people, which I love you all.
Yes.
You're there, you're reading the sales pages word for word. It's amazing. They just take it all in. They sit with it. But I think for quick starts, people who make decisions really, really quickly, for a lot of us out there, that one-liner is just as effective.
Awesome. That's great. This was so good. Such great information. Did we miss anything that we wanted to make sure the audience knew about before we finished off today?
I don't think so. I think we covered it.
I think so too. This is awesome. So again, in the show notes, I'm going to put down the link for the testimonial template. If anybody who's listening, it's LiciaMorelliWriter.com / testimonial template. You can put a splash in there too. It doesn't matter. But that's where you'll go ahead and find that template. And again, I'll put that in the show notes so you guys can click on it and download it right away. Licia, thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Oh, Laura, thank you. This was awesome. And I can't wait to hear about all the testimonials that people are able to get.
Hey there, I just want to say thank you for spending time with me here today. I know your time is super valuable, which is why I am dedicated to providing lots of usable, actionable information in the shortest amount of time possible. Before you go, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a future episode. And if you have ideas or topics you would like me to cover in an upcoming show, let me know about it in the comment section provided.